Welcome everyone to another edition of Bleeding Cool Chatter. My name is Kaitlyn Booth and I am the head film writer here at Bleeding Cool, and I am joined by one of my writers today.
You get me today.
Yay! I get Phil today. The reason why we're kind of a small crew today is because only a few of us have seen Black Panther, and we had our screenings today at pretty much the same time, only mine was 45 minutes delayed.
Were you waiting for someone to arrive?
No, they couldn't get it to work. They were frantically on the phone with Disney. There was something wrong with the digital code or something. I have no idea.
Well, that must have been exciting.
Oh yeah, and I'm sitting there and I'm next to the person I'm with. And I'm like, they know we're not leaving. They know we're not going to leave.
Yeah.
So I thought we were going to do this in two segments. We're going to do a spoiler-free segment, which will be the first one, and then that will be going up probably sometime on Wednesday. And then we'll have a spoiler segment that will be going up probably sometime late on Friday, so I don't get a cease and desist order from Disney again.
Yeah, just one a quarter. Just one a quarter.
Ugh. So, yeah, I figured we would just do, I also recorded a quick thing beforehand and right after that I need to send you, of just me sitting in my car kind of flailing and being happy because I really liked this movie.
Yeah. So
if you would... No, by all means.
No, I was just going to say, I'm still kind of processing it, because with all the rave reviews beforehand going into it that I heard from online, went into it kind of going, okay, what do we got? This is a really good movie. This is a really, really good movie. It's really different. It's unlike any other Marvel movie so far, because I think back to, Guardians, I think to Ant-Man, I think to really all these films, and they're generally Thor Ragnarok. They're pretty light and fluffy, and they're big colored, and it's, it's mostly kind of witty banter in the midst of the whole thing. This ain't that.
No.
This is kind of more. I would love to see a Batman movie with this kind of tone, because it is kind of dark. It is, it's a really, really good movie. But I'm really interested to see what the general fan populace is going to take from this film, because people that are going in expecting a Thor Ragnarok are in for a very different experience. I think that they're going into.
I would say that all of my criticisms, at least at this point, because it's been, less than 12 hours since we've seen this movie, both of us usually have more time to sit on these, at least a little more time to process them before we have to, get reviews out right away. But, I'm going to be up tonight finishing my review because the embargo's already down, so that's kind of a disadvantage we're at right now. But I tend to trust my immediate opinion pretty much. I mean, neither of us, we both probably do, because we wouldn't be very good at our jobs if we weren't able to turn this around pretty quickly. And I like to think we're both good at our jobs. And most of my things are pretty nitpicky. It's kind of got a bit of a weird pace. Not so much a pace problem that I think will be for adults, but there was some kids behind me, and they got a little antsy. And I'm not sure if... There's a couple moments there where I'm not sure the kids are going to be 100% on board in the way that they might have been for Thor Ragnarok or Guardians.
Yeah, this one definitely has a different, again, kids going to see this movie, it's not what they're going to be expecting. And so I think, again, not that they're going to be bored, but they might not be as engaged or really hooked into the characters with what their emotional drives are in the same way that something where it's a little, Hulk is kind of easy to read. We get his. It's pretty much right there. But some of this is a little advanced for your average 10-year-old.
Hulk is actually an easier concept for kids to understand, because kids are like, Hulk gets angry, gets big and angry, and green things are awesome. And adults are like, oh my god, he gets big and angry and destroys things. Ugh. But there are just... This one is... My favorite part about this movie is the fact that it's... I want to say that that Ryan Coogler went in here and made it look easy, because it obviously wasn't easy. I don't want to downplay anybody's work in this. The cast is all fantastic. Everybody brings their A game. The set design and Wakanda is just amazing. An absolutely a wonder of cinematography, and just everything about it is great. But Ryan Coogler just kind of kicked in the door and was like, hey guys, this is how you do this. Why haven't any of you done this before? He made it look effortless, and it's just kind of really, really stunning to watch.
And the, trying to pick your favorites between Lupita and Denai are just, good luck with that. Just the women cast so amazingly done.
It was Linetti. Is that how you say her name? Latiti? I don't know how to say her name. The girl who plays Shuri. She was my favorite. I love her. I loved her. I loved her and T'Challa's interactions. Earlier this week, I wrote an article talking about how Steven and Donald Glover have received special thank you credits, because they came in and worked on a couple of scenes with Ryan Coogler. And it sounds like they were working on the scenes with T'Challa and Shuri. I'm like, who better to have in here than two brothers who write a sibling dynamic? And their sibling dynamic was great. I'm an older sibling with a pretty significant younger sibling. I mean, there's a pretty significant age difference with the two of them. My brother and I are about 5.5 years apart. Those two are probably closer to 10. And they were just perfect. I loved them. I loved her. She was so... And there was only one moment in the whole movie where somebody called out the fact that she was young and a woman, and the movie very obviously framed that as a bad thing. Like, it immediately was like, no, that is not okay. And I loved it.
Yep. She's modern, she's hipster, she's got the tech, but no, because she runs everything, and it's a pretty impressive, though. I mean, again, you can go to the nitpicky stuff. I'm like, that's a mighty big lab for one person. Who's generating a lot of this stuff. But,
I think there were more people in there. We just didn't see them. Yeah. There were some moments where Wakanda felt very lived in, like especially the city itself, down in the streets. And then there were other moments where I'm like, where is everybody?
Yeah, it feels, like I said, the impression is it's a major city with all of this stuff, and we zoom in and we see a bustling street, but zooming out, it kind of feels like the ruins of Rome or something, late 9th century. And it's an interesting mythos, I think. I think it's also fascinating that Marvel didn't indulge us with a great deal of cameos in this film. So many of the other films have got, random samplings of various people, and still having any kind of a time where you end up going into a mountain with crevices, and you've got Andy Serkis and you've got a hobbit running around. There's going to be problems. All they need is a ring. Oh, wait. That's, Andy
Serkis was having so much fun in this movie. Like, his joy in playing Claw was just palpable. Yeah. Like, he was so over the top, and I thought it was great. Like, he was ridiculous. Like, utterly mad ridiculous. Like, that whole scene from him in Age of Ultron where he says the cuttlefish, that's the thing he's the most afraid of. You're like, that's really weird. And then you're like, wait, this guy's actually that weird. Like, he's really that weird. And you're like, this is really entertaining to watch.
He, I had to lean over to Mab and ask her, it's like, I didn't know Andy Serkis was ripped. And it's like, that guy's built. And
like, his arms are really, really well defined.
Yeah. And just, again, this cast is amazing. And I think this is one of those films that's it has to be kind of critiqued and analyzed in a couple of different ways, because one, like Wonder Woman, is Wonder Woman really a movie as great as it is? It's so hard to see through the timeliness and the particular era of which it is. 10 years down the line, if someone saw it for the first time, are they going to look at everyone going, "What are you people nuts about?" It's fine, but not that nuts. But this one too, it's a really good movie. Is it like my favorite of all the Marvel movies? I got to get some distance before something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, things to me is also, this one's got the difficulty in that everyone's expecting so much out of this. There's a huge amount of anticipation for it, both between having having Black Panther as the main lead character in a film. God forbid they could get a female superhero movie out, but what else? I know. crazy talk.
We have a little over a year to go.
Yeah, but you know what? The women in this one are as near as you're going to get, except for just saying they're superheroes, because they kick ass all the way through the movie.
They're ridiculous. Like, I love the fact that in Infinity War we see Okio and she is right there with the Avengers because she absolutely deserves to be right there with the Avengers. Like, I think that they say that she is one of the the greatest warrior in Wakanda, and I'm like, awesome, perfect, great. I love it. I like the fact that she could probably kick the shit out of T'Challa. That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it comes across very strongly that he might have some different tactician abilities and stuff, but as far as a straight up balls out fighter, if it wasn't for the little glowy plant stuff, she just mopped the ground with them. And this movie, like a lot of them, the relativism of strength definitely changes kind of based on the needs of the scene, because sometimes you can pick up cars and throw them, and other times when you hit somebody, their head doesn't just pop. You've got those, but no, this one's a lot of fun. I think this is going to be talked about a lot. I am sure the trolls are going to have a field day.
Oh, they already are.
And you know what? They really don't have much of a pot to piss in, because in the end, it's a solid story. It's enjoyable. You really, if I was going to go complain, it goes back to the thing about kids. If you're really expecting a comic book genre film, this side of Watchmen, to mostly be aimed at a younger audience, then maybe you could say that this movie, what is this? This movie isn't really targeting for kids, but that's kind of stretching it. But that's really the only thing.
I don't know if not so much not targeted as to kids, as it's just kind of a movie that kids will need to adjust with, because kids, I mean, like, I've said this before, that kids can handle a lot more than we give them credit for. Like, the whole, like, won't someone please think of the children thing? I hate those people, because kids are not just dumb adults. Kids have this completely unique way of looking at the world. And, maybe it was just the kids that were sitting behind me that were just getting into. Maybe it was just those particular kids that were, maybe they just weren't into it for whatever reason. And there will be kids who go into this who have no problem. There were, for me, I just felt a few moments where it felt a little draggy, but not anything that was significant enough that I ever thought about, like, checking my watch and seeing how long into the movie it was.
Right. No, this isn't like a couple other movies we've seen lately where it's kind of like, is it done yet? 50 Shades. Yeah. Yeah. No, this one, and for the kids' comment, it wasn't necessarily that it's inappropriate for kids. It's just will they engage with it is really kind of, fun for kids in that way. But this one, by the same token, in the same way that women going in to watch Wonder Woman were, of any age, were immediately captivated by that. I think by the same token, this is going to impact a lot of people of all ages and African American community and around the world when they see this and kind of going, they're going to be, and I think that's for all the people that are going like, oh, where's our white leads going? We got plenty, but at the same token, it's worth it just to sit in a theater and watch someone suddenly see themselves on screen and going, that's me, and watching them connect. That is so worth that experience.
Absolutely.
Because watching that cast lose their minds seeing the footage at Hall H.
I know.
That was the moment. Every year, like in San Diego, it seems like there's one ultra impactful emotional moment. That was last year's. Just
I almost burst into tears standing there in the middle of the cage and like the middle of the thing. I was like, oh my god, these guys they are absolutely destroying me. Like this is so. Again, I live in Utah. I would like to remind you that Utah is very, very, very white. There was exactly one African American who was in this screening at the time, and I did not get a chance to speak to him afterwards. But beforehand, I watched him walk into the theater because I was waiting for my +1 to get there, and he was like going like this. He was doing a little jog. He was wearing his Black Panther shirt. He was there with his girlfriend, and I was getting ready to go in the theater, and he's like, Katie, I need you to take a picture of me me and my girlfriend in front of the standee. And just like I took the picture, and even just in the moment where I was like, okay, I'm getting ready to take the picture, his entire face just lit up, and it's like, I know how much the No Man's Land scene meant to me as a woman in Wonder Woman. If the African American community gets even a half of that out of this movie, then it was worth it.
Yeah.
It was absolutely worth it. Like, any other criticism does not matter. Just like any other criticism against Wonder Woman ultimately doesn't matter if it affects somebody, impacts them emotionally. Like, if it really, really touches you, then
it's a success. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And
that's eliciting a strong reaction on either direction is a good thing, but eliciting anger is a lot easier than eliciting some pure, burst into tears joy. And I feel like, in the same way that the entire first weekend of Wonder Woman we were hearing about women bursting into tears, I feel like 5 minutes into this movie we're going to be hearing about people of color bursting into tears this week. And it's just like, I'm so happy for somebody else to get that feeling, because it was such an amazing feeling. And I can't think of any reason why anybody would want to take that away from anybody.
Yeah. And I will absolutely admit that I know like zero on traditional African culture. Absolutely.
Me too.
Half dozen National Geographic specials does not count. But this felt very alien and very cool and very colorful, and how they were presented, and it felt, again, I think people that much more ingrained and familiar with that heritage would be great to have speak to it. But for me, it was, I felt like I was having a great privileged time, having a fun time seeing into a very different culture and what they had for value systems and how they interrelated with each other and everything. And that's
the costumes and how everything looked. And I still can't believe that there was a man in this movie who had a lip plate. Yeah. There's lip plates in a Marvel movie in 2018. That's just, that shouldn't be surprising, but it is.
And some women with them too.
Yeah, women with them, and ceremonial scarring, and just like, ugh!
And they all looked badass. None of them looked freak. All of them looked awesome.
Incredible.
It was amazing, and looking forward to seeing what they do now. Now it is funny, as I was seeing the movies, like, it's a little disingenuous when we've seen trailers from the next Avengers movie, and we can't really think that anything too bad is going to happen to Black Panther because he's in the next movie. And part of me was kind of like, you know what, that kind of lessens my ability to really get concerned for characters when the chips are down, when they're already in the next one.
But there were concerned about, especially towards the end, and there was, I didn't cry, but I got damn close, and I can almost guarantee the scene is not the scene anybody is going to guess, because it's not a scene you would be expecting. And one of the things this movie does better than probably any movie since maybe even Loki is this is one of the best villains, period.
Yeah.
Like there are moments where Killmonger is talking and you're like, no, he's right. He's not like, oh, he's kind of in the morally gray, right? No, he's 100% right.
Right.
Like, this is, I mean, he's extreme, but it's very much in the same way that if you think about it, Magneto is also kind of right.
Right.
He's extreme, he's going too far, but he's right.
Right. He is coming, he's got a valid position of
very,
what
very
happened
valid.
to culturally, to them personally, to their culture, to their history. And this, it definitely.
I don't want to get too into it because it's a certain degree of spoiler, and knowing
we'll do that in segment 2. Totally.
Yeah. In segment 2 we'll get into it, but there's the way they approach his character is just great. It's so good. Like, and Michael B. Jordan is already like a great, great actor, and he is great in this. Just absolutely fantastic.
Actually, to your point with the villains, I think that's one. Any DC watchers out there, yes, I don't love all Marvel movies. But notably about Marvels is a lot of times, especially on their character introduction films, it's all about the main character and their interpersonal relationships. The bad guy is really kind of a throwaway, and it's an afterthought, where this film is really not that. The big bads, both of them, they really play to this whole segment, and it's really well done. This is probably it's probably one of the better bad guys that they've had as a singular bad guy since Loki, probably.
And he's I don't know. He's very captivating on screen. Michael B. Jordan commands the presence of. You can see why what happens. And there is a couple twists and turns in there that I legitimately didn't see coming. Like, not knowing anything about Black Panther lore probably helped.
Yeah.
Or just knowing the very, very bare bones basics, but there were some things in here where I was like, whoa, that's an interesting little twist and turn. And there were a couple moments where I'm like, this thing is about to happen. Oh, wait, no, that thing is not about to happen. All right, fair enough.
And you know what? I kind of think in a number of scenes that Jordan actually outperforms Boseman in his character, and it's kind of like his strength of presence. And I don't know if it's build or frame or whatnot, but he really, you know what? At the end, I think that Wakanda would have worked out all right, kind of regardless of who won. It'd be different.
It would be, definitely different. It's and I'm excited for the Black Panther is alt-right trolls to go see this movie, because you should really see this movie before you start making proclamations like that.
This is alt-right? What? On what planet?
Exactly. And
they had an express anti-Trump comment in this movie, and it was brilliant. Because they make the comment about building walls.
Oh yeah.
And he's talking about that, and it's like, if you build up walls to keep them out, bad things will happen. It's like, aha, that's subtle. But again, entirely true.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
music was also fantastic. I haven't listened to the soundtrack yet. I know Haley did a review of it, which made me excited because I didn't know that we had Haley reviewing things, and I was like, Haley reviewed something! I'm so excited! And I really, the music was all fantastic. I mean, just like, really, the thing that really just struck me the most about this movie was just the cinematography and the costumes. Like, I can't remember the last time I was watching a movie where I was so captivated by all of the costumes. They were just all so intricate and beautiful and detailed and so good. So good.
And all of the guards sitting there thinking, going, wow. And you hear in the distance the sewing machines of 1,000 cosplayers, spinning up, because and they look so good. And they do. And the few dozen that were there at Dragon Con last year, kind of as the vanguard ahead of the film, they were all so jazzed and thrilled to come together. I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes of it this year, because it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. I remember Marianne just came back from Disney, and she said that 2 of the Tatianas have already shaved their heads to be Okio, and they just sounded so excited about it. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm so happy. Everything about this makes me so happy.
Yeah, it goes back to the whole empowering thing, and this is another film that definitely does that, and not to anyone else's detriment. Which is a great positive. It's just kind of like, they're badass, not they're badass from context of putting anybody else down. They're just them. They own it, and ain't gonna take shit from nobody. And of course, here everyone was cheering because the movie is framed in scenes in Oakland, so everyone's now going to be running over to Oakland to figure out exactly where that's at and where the new center is going. Yep.
Do you have anything else that's spoiler-free that you would like to say?
I think let's wrap this and get into Spoilerville.
All right. Well, my name is Kaitlyn Booth. I'm the head film writer here at Bleeding Cool. We will have all sorts of fun stuff coming out about Black Panther over this opening weekend. It is currently tracking to 165 million opening, possibly more, probably more, because I think people are being generous. That's insane. And you can follow me at Twitter at Katie's Movies.
I'm Bill Waters. You can follow me at BillRW and the number 3. See you guys.
Yeah, thanks.